it's Christina at Cemetery of Choice. Today's September 9th. I look like I got drugged through a knothole backward because I'm doing this on a break in painting my house, and I'm trying to replace some broken trim, finding scrap pieces that fit, and there are no scrap pieces that fit, and I'm going to have to run out and buy something, so that's why I look this way. And today we're going to talk about a death that's not a verified abortion death, but that is certainly the only explanation that makes any sense, and it's the death of actress Virginia Rappe, the scandal that ruined Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Now, Roscoe Arbuckle was the biggest box office attraction in Hollywood. He was the man. He had been a Keystone Cop, then he got his own film studio that he called Kamiki, where he worked with his nephew, Al St. John. He's the one that introduced Buster Keaton, the silent film great, to film. And Arbuckle, interestingly enough, was called the most chaste man in Hollywood. He was married twice. His first wedding night, he was a virgin. That tells you a little bit about what kind of man Roscoe Arbuckle was. A lot of his characters were philanderers, but Roscoe wasn't. From all accounts, he was a very sweet, gentle man, which makes their choice of him to target kind of odd. Now, there are a lot of sources that look at the death of Virginia Rappe. She was a silent film actress. She did a film with Rudolph Valentino. She did some films with Arbuckle. Well, Labor Day weekend of 1921, excuse me, Roscoe was breaking prohibition by having a big party in a hotel suite in San Francisco. And Virginia and a woman named Maud Delmont crashed the party. You have to understand who Maud Delmont was. She was a blackmailer and extortioner. What she would do is she would kind of run maybe an escort service for wealthy men, and then the women would claim that the man had raped them, and then Delmont would blackmail them. And it could be that she was planning to do the same thing with Roscoe Arbuckle. But this party went on for days. And while Virginia was there, she took ill. So she really got sick September 5th. Now, Arbuckle put her to bed and called a doctor for her. Now, for some reason, on September 8th, Maud Delmont had Virginia taken not to a regular hospital, but to Wakefield Sanitarium. It was a maternity hospital known for performing quasi-legal abortions. And Virginia died there on September 9th. And the death was listed as due to peritonitis from a ruptured bladder caused by external forces. Now, please, this is not slut-shaming. This is very important information to know. Witnesses came forward and testified that Virginia had utilized Wakefield 5 times previously. 4 times for abortions and once to give birth to a baby. So it's kind of fishy that they took her to this place where she'd already had 4 abortions, and they performed the autopsy there illegally without consulting with the coroner's office. The Dr. Melville Rumswell, who performed the illegal autopsy, was a reputed abortionist, and he threw away her reproductive organs. Doesn't that sound just a little bit fishy to you? So without her uterus and vagina, there was no way of knowing what kind of trauma she had suffered. Now, if there had been blunt trauma internally, that could have indeed implicated Arbuckle. Delmont claimed that he raped her and he was so big and fat that the rape caused her bladder to rupture. But if there had been sharp instrumentation, that would have 100% cleared Arbuckle. Um, so it's really the only thing that makes sense would be that Delmont knew that Virginia had had an abortion at Wakefield, and when she got sick, realized what the problem was and had her taken back to Wakefield, because if she had taken Virginia to a regular hospital, the abortion would have been uncovered, and that would have been homicide for whoever did the abortion and anybody involved, which would have included Maud Delmont. And odds are Maud Delmont had a lot of dirt on a lot of influential people, which would explain why, once she pointed the finger at Arbuckle, Hearst newspapers jumped on and just totally trashed this poor man. His career was utterly destroyed. His films were pulled from theaters. Nobody would work with him except Buster Keaton and his nephew Al, and they had Buster gave him jobs under the name William Goodrich so that he could at least have some directorial work. So it really looks like covering up an abortion murder is what ruined this innocent man. And the other death we have to look at today was a repeat offender in Chicago. And this was in 1913, when on September 9th, a 27-year-old homemaker named Anna died, and Dr. Lou E. Davis was indicted by a grand jury. Now, as far as I can tell, the case never went to trial. And then Davis went on to be implicated in an abortion death in 1924 and another one in 1928. So like, share, subscribe. I want to go and find out exactly what was going on with Dr. Lou E. Davis.